The collision happened over a library card with overdue fines stamped in red. A 10-year-old boy named Malik holding it like a shield, while a fintech billionaire named Elaine Mercer watched her company's system freeze the only money his family had left. Malik stood just inside the public library doors and let the warmth settle on his face before he moved. Warmth meant the heat was on here. Warmth meant the building had decided people mattered today. He kept his shoulders square anyway, because habit was a kind of armor. Amina's small hand stayed tucked in his hoodie pocket. Her fingers curled around his like she was holding a rope in wind. She was 6, light as a backpack, and quieter than she had any right to be. Malik had redone her braids that morning until the parts looked straight. Looking put together mattered in places where adults liked to decide what a child deserved. Malik held the library card in his other hand. The plastic was softened at the corners from years of sliding in and out of pockets. The back showed angry red ink, each stamp a small square of judgment. Overdue, overdue, overdue. The fines weren't for him. Malik returned books on time. He returned books the way he returned favors, carefully, because borrowed things were borrowed trust. The stamps were from before, from their mother's last good month, when she'd checked out cookbooks and children's novels like she was stocking a future. Then the month turned, and another one, and the books didn't go back, and the future didn't come, and the stamps did. Amina tugged his hand. "Is Ms. Rios here?" Malik scanned the main desk. Probably. He didn't go straight there. He moved the way he always moved in places that mattered, half a step slower than his urgency, eyes taking in the exits, the security camera domes, the quiet line at the printers, the older man asleep in a chair with his mouth slack like the day had defeated him. Malik's calm wasn't a personality. It was a tool. Panic was expensive. The phone in his pocket vibrated again, a tight little buzz that made his stomach clench. He didn't need to check. He'd already seen it 3 times since dawn. The same sterile sentence, delivered like a door closed in his face. Account temporarily restricted. Please complete identity verification. Contact support. The account wasn't a normal bank account. It was a MercerPay youth wallet, the kind advertised on bus shelters with smiling parents and bright pastel graphics. The brochure at the library outreach table had called it a youth wallet, under a parent profile, a way for kids to save and learn. With strong fraud protection, Malik had signed up at that table, with Ms. Rios watching and nodding, because the library partnered with a nonprofit that helped families set up the parent profile. It was supposed to be a bridge for people who didn't have everything the system demanded. Malik didn't want a bridge to a mansion. He wanted a bridge to groceries that lasted a week. That wallet held the cash he and his mom put aside from her gig work and the change Malik collected from errands for neighbors. Not much, but enough to buy rice, eggs, and detergent that didn't make Amina itch. Now it was a number on a screen that had decided he didn't exist correctly. He walked Amina to the children's section first, because routines made her breathe easier. He sat her at a table with a puzzle box the library kept out for kids, and pointed her toward a stack of graphic novels. "Stay where you can see the desk," he told her. Amina's mouth tightened. "You'll come back." Malik nodded once, firm. Yes. At the main desk, Ms. Rios spotted him, and her eyes softened in a way Malik pretended not to notice. She was in her 30s, always tired, always choosing to be kind, like it was a decision she renewed every day. Her hair was pinned up with a pencil. Malik liked that. It meant she used what she had. "Hey, Malik," she said quietly, "you're early." I need the computer, Malik said. He placed the library card on the counter. The red stamps flashed like warning lights. And I need to fix this. Ms. Rios touched the card with 2 fingers, like she could feel the stamps through the plastic. Okay, she said. One thing at a time. Malik didn't say, I don't have time, because that made adults nervous. He said, my MercerPay wallet is frozen. Ms. Rios didn't ask why a 10-year-old had a wallet. She didn't make a speech about childhood. She nodded, like he'd told her the bus was late. Which product? She asked. Malik's calm tightened into focus. The youth wallet. Under my mom's profile, Ms. Rios's eyebrows lifted. Okay. That one does tie to the parent KYC. KYC, know your customer. Malik didn't like the way the letters sounded like a lock. They want ID, Malik said. Ms. Rios's mouth pressed into a line. Did you call support? Yes. What did they ask for? Malik pulled a folded printout from his pocket and smoothed it on the counter. He'd printed it yesterday, using the last of his library print credits. It was MercerPay's email, a government-issued photo ID, a parent or guardian photo ID, a utility bill, a lease. Malik stared at the list like it was a language meant for other people. Ms. Rios read it, lips tightening. Okay, she said. What do you have? Malik didn't say nothing. He said, my library card. Ms. Rios looked at the red stamps again. That's something, she said, though her tone admitted what her words didn't. The system hadn't asked for something. It had asked for specific things people like Malik's mom didn't have ready. Malik's phone buzzed again. He ignored it, but his stomach tightened anyway, because he could almost hear the refrigerator at home humming over empty shelves. Ms. Rios said, let's get you a workstation. At the row of computers, Malik logged in, fingers steady. He pulled up the MercerPay support chat. A bubble appeared. Hello, I'm Mercy, your digital assistant. How can I help? Malik hated the name. He typed, my youth wallet is frozen. I need access. Mercy responded instantly. I can help. Please upload a government-issued photo ID. Malik typed, I'm 10. This is a youth wallet under my mom. I don't have ID. Pause. Then, please upload a parent or guardian photo ID. Malik typed, my mom's ID is expired. Pause. Then, please upload a valid photo ID to continue. Malik's jaw tightened. He didn't slam the keyboard. He didn't swear. He didn't cry. He simply felt the same door close again, politely, perfectly, like a machine had learned manners. Ms. Rios leaned over his shoulder. Let me try to escalate, she murmured. She clicked through menus until she found a tiny link in the footer. Contact us. A form opened. She filled it in carefully, like precision could force the system to respect a child's urgency. Account frozen due to identity mismatch. Customer is a minor. Using youth wallet under parent profile via library partner program. Requesting alternative verification pathway. Urgent need for access to funds for essentials. She added, customer has public library card and school records. Requesting human review. She hit submit. A confirmation appeared. Thank you. Expect a response in 7 to 10 business days. Malik felt his calm wobble, not on his face, but in his hands. His fingers curled against the desk edge. 7 to 10 days, he repeated. Ms. Rios didn't lie. That's what it says. Malik swallowed slowly. He saw the pantry at home. Half a bag of rice, a can of beans, a jar of peanut butter, scraped thin. He saw his mom's face last night when she'd tried to smile and failed, then turned away so he wouldn't see. Okay, Malik said, because panic wouldn't buy eggs. Ms. Rios looked like she wanted to say something bigger. Instead, she pointed gently at the library card. "Let's fix this part," she said. "This part I can do today." At the main desk, Ms. Rios pulled up Malik's library record. Overdue items from nearly a year ago. Cookbooks, a children's poetry anthology, a novel with a cracked spine. Total, $18.50. Malik stared at it like a mountain. "I can pay it," he said, automatically, reflexive, offering to solve problems before anyone could decide he was the problem. Ms. Rios shook her head. "No, we have a fine forgiveness program for kids. It's meant for exactly this." She paused. "Do you still have the books?" Malik's mouth went dry. He hadn't seen them in months, not since their mom had packed boxes when the eviction notice came. Some boxes disappeared between friends, couches, the shelter, and the cramped apartment they finally landed in. Some things didn't come back. "I don't know," Malik admitted, and the honesty cost him. Ms. Rios didn't flinch. "Okay. Then we mark them lost. The forgiveness program covers it. It clears your account." Malik blinked. "Just like that." Ms. Rios smiled small. "Just like that." She tapped keys and turned the screen slightly so Malik could see. Balance, $0. The red stamps on the card didn't vanish, but they changed shape in Malik's mind, from active shame to a scar that proved survival. Amina ran up with a book in her hands, eyes bright. "Can I get this one?" Malik looked at the cover. A story about a girl building a spaceship out of scrap. Malik nodded. "Yes." Ms. Rios checked it out and slid it across, then leaned in close to Malik again. "I'm not done with MercerPay," she said quietly. 7 to 10 days isn't okay. Malik didn't want pity, he wanted a plan. "What can we do?" Ms. Rios hesitated, then glanced toward the glossy poster on the wall near the elevators. Elaine Mercer, smiling above the slogan, "Build trust at the speed of now." "There's a MercerPay workshop tomorrow," Ms. Rios said. "Downtown branch. Financial literacy. They're doing a Q&A. Elaine Mercer is scheduled to show up for a photo and a few questions." Malik's stomach tightened under the weight of possibility. He pictured suits, cameras, security. He pictured being ignored. He pictured being removed like a glitch. He also pictured Amina eating. "Okay," Malik said. "We'll go." That night, in a glass tower across the city, Elaine Mercer sat alone in her office long after her assistants had gone home. The building was quiet, the kind of quiet money bought. No neighbors arguing through thin walls, no sirens close enough to make you flinch, no refrigerator humming over emptiness. She stared at a spreadsheet and watched the numbers behave, because numbers were honest in ways people weren't. Her phone lit up. Payment due. No delays. The message came from a contact saved under a name that meant nothing to anyone else. Elaine's jaw tightened. She typed a response, erased it, typed again. Working on it, her finger hovered. The truth would have been shorter. "I'm late." She deleted again and finally sent, confirmed. She set the phone face down, as if turning it over could turn the pressure off. She looked at the city lights below and felt the old shame that lived under her pride, shame she'd buried under achievements and sleek branding. Elaine told herself she was in control. She always did. Then her phone buzzed again with a second message, colder. "I don't do confirmed. I do received." Elaine's throat tightened. She opened her laptop again and stared at a revenue chart, the kind that made board members smile. She'd promised herself long ago she would never be the girl counting coins on a kitchen table again. She'd kept that promise by building a world where people were data and data could be optimized. She didn't look at the old library card hidden on a shelf behind a framed magazine cover. She didn't look at the bent corners. She didn't look at the faded red stamp that still marked it from years ago. She looked at the numbers and told herself the numbers were clean. The next morning, Malik braided Amina's hair again, careful and precise. Their mother Naya watched from the kitchen doorway, her phone clutched like a lifeline. Dark circles sat under her eyes like bruises. She'd been awake too late, scrolling job listings that needed degrees or cars or open availability, the kind of words that meant don't have kids. You're taking her where? Naya asked. The library, Malik said. Naya's eyes narrowed. Why Malik didn't like lying. He liked choosing what to share. My youth wallet got frozen, he said. Nia's face tightened. What? That's your money. Yes. Did you call them? Yes. And they fixed it. No. Nia's shoulders sagged for a second, like her bones got heavier. Then she straightened, pride and exhaustion welded together. I'll go with you. Malik shook his head. Stay and rest, and call Ms. Green about that warehouse job, the one with the early shift. Naya's eyes flashed. Malik, it's okay, Malik said calmly. Ms. Rios said there's an event. Q&A. I can ask. Naya stared at him the way adults stared when a child said something to grown. You shouldn't have to. Malik didn't argue. He adjusted Amina's hood and picked up the tote bag with water bottles and the last granola bar in the apartment. At the downtown branch, everything smelled like money. Polished floors, modern chairs, a big banner near the entrance. MercerPay presents Smart Money for Families. A table held brochures and branded pens. A photographer moved around, snapping pictures. Malik saw a man in a suit with an earpiece and recognized the posture of security. He tightened his grip on Amina's hand. Stay close. Amina nodded, eyes wide. They found seats near the back. Malik watched the room instead of the stage. He counted exits. He watched who smiled like it was real and who smiled like it was required. On one side of the room, a microphone stand sat in the aisle with a sign taped to it. Q&A will include walk-up questions. Please line up when called. Malik took that in like a door marked exit. A man in a MercerPay polo took the stage and spoke about budgeting, about saving, about building financial habits early. Malik listened for the part where they explained why a child's wallet could be frozen without a human. But the man moved quickly past anything that sounded like problems. Then the doors near the front opened, and the room shifted in a way Malik could feel through the air. Elaine Mercer walked in. She was taller than Malik expected, hair cut in a clean line, suit a deep navy that looked expensive without needing to shout about it. Her face matched the posters, controlled, polished, confident, but the real version carried tension around the eyes, a carefulness like she was always measuring what she owed the world and what it owed her. Phones lifted. People stood. Elaine waved with practiced ease, smile switching on like a light. Security flanked her, but the library wasn't a stadium. The cameras in the room were phones, and the walls had books, and the atmosphere demanded a kind of restraint. Malik saw the security man with the earpiece scan the crowd and pause when his gaze landed on children. He saw the hesitation. Touching a kid in a library would look bad on video. Elaine went to the stage and took the microphone like it belonged to her. She talked about trust, about access, about empowering underserved communities. She said underserved like it was a math term, something that could be corrected with the right equation. She showed slides, charts, smiling faces, numbers climbing. She talked about fraud prevention like it was a shield protecting families. She talked about algorithms like they were neutral, like they were truth. Malik felt something cold settle in his chest. When Elaine opened the Q&A, the moderator pointed to the walk-up mic. "We'll take questions in the order you line up," he said. "One question each." Malik stood. He didn't push. He didn't run. He walked to the microphone with Amina's hand still in his pocket. A few people turned to look, then more, then almost everyone, because a child at a mic changed the temperature of a room. Security noticed. The man with the earpiece shifted. He took one step, then stopped. Cameras were already raised. The library's quiet made every movement feel louder than it was. He held position, watching, waiting for a reason. Elaine's gaze landed on Malik. For a flicker, irritation tightened her face like an unexpected variable. Then her smile reappeared. "Yes," Elaine said, voice warm through speakers. Malik swallowed once. He didn't rush his words. He spoke clearly, the way Ms. Rios had taught him to speak to adults who might not listen unless he sounded certain. "My name is Malik Johnson," he said. "I'm 10. I use the MercerPay youth wallet under my mom's profile. Your system froze it." A ripple moved through the room. Phones lifted higher. Elaine's smile held, but it thinned. "I'm sorry to hear that," she said. "Our support channels can help you." "I tried," Malik said calmly. "It says 7 to 10 business days. I don't have 7 to 10 business days." Elaine's eyes narrowed slightly, not at the words, at the implication. "Fraud prevention is designed to protect." "It's not protecting me," Malik said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the library card. He held it up. The red overdue stamps caught the light like a flare. "This is my ID," Malik said. "It has my full name. Your app has my name without my middle name. Your system says I don't match me." The room went quiet in a way that wasn't polite. It was waiting. Elaine's gaze flicked to the card, then to Malik's face. A child holding a library card. A child in a hoodie with a younger sister clinging to him. A child saying, "I don't have time." Elaine's voice stayed smooth. "Library cards are not government-issued identification." Malik nodded once, like he'd expected that answer. "I know," he said. "But you made a youth wallet for kids who don't have that. You advertise it at libraries. My family doesn't have what you're asking for." Elaine's jaw tightened, almost invisible. She glanced toward her assistant, who leaned in with a tablet, and whispered. Elaine's eyes flicked down and then back up. After the session, Elaine said into the mic, "My team will help you. We'll make sure you're taken care of." Malik heard the trap in the words. Taken care of meant removed. Taken care of meant quieted. He didn't step away from the mic. "I don't want special," he said. "I want it fixed for everybody. Because I'm not the only one." Elaine's smile froze for a fraction, then reset. "What do you mean?" Malik lifted his phone. He didn't wave it wildly. He held it steady, showing screenshots, complaints, confirmations, the same phrases repeated by different people. "There are complaints," Malik said. "People saying their accounts got frozen. People saying they were charged fees while frozen. People saying money disappeared in small amounts." Elaine's eyes sharpened. "Those are anecdotal. They're a pattern," Malik said. "Mostly from certain zip codes." The room shifted like someone had pulled a curtain. Elaine lifted her chin. "Our model is blind to race and income," she said quickly. Malik didn't argue feelings. He argued reality. "It sees addresses," he said. "It sees where people live. It sees what phones people have. It sees data that means those things, even if it doesn't say the words." The security man took another step, then stopped again. Cameras were up. The moderator looked uncertain, caught between corporate control and a posted sign that promised walk-up questions. Elaine leaned forward, voice carefully warm. "What would you like us to do right now?" she asked. Malik's heart beat faster, but his voice stayed calm. "I want you to look at my wallet," he said, in front of everyone, "and I want you to explain why your system thinks I'm fraud." A ripple moved through the audience. That wasn't a request for charity. It was a demand for transparency. Elaine's eyes flicked to her assistant again. The assistant's fingers flew over the tablet. Elaine's mouth tightened. "We don't discuss private customer details publicly." "Then tell them why a kid's wallet can get locked for a middle name," Malik said. "Or why it takes 7 to 10 business days to eat." Elaine paused. The cameras held her there. Then she did something that looked like control, but wasn't. She smiled wider, steel in it. "After this event," she said, "I will personally meet with you and library staff. We will resolve your issue. Thank you for bringing it to my attention." She angled her body away, like the question had ended. Malik stayed at the mic long enough to say one more sentence, quiet but sharp. "My money isn't the only money you froze," Malik said. "It's just the only one you had to look at while cameras were watching." Phones shifted. A woman in the front row stared at Elaine, then down at her own phone, thumb moving like she was checking her balance. Elaine's eyes held Malik's for a long beat. Something moved behind them, not sympathy, not guilt. Calculation, mixed with a flicker of dread. Elaine nodded once. "We'll speak afterward." Security didn't touch Malik. They formed a gentle barrier, guiding him out of the aisle like shepherding. Malik let it happen. He'd said what mattered while people listened. In the lobby, Ms. Rios appeared, face tight with worry and pride tangled together. She knelt to Malik's level. "You did not warn me you were going to do that," she whispered. Malik's eyes stayed calm. "If I warned, you might stop me." Ms. Rios exhaled, half a laugh that sounded like relief and fear. "You're not wrong." A woman in a MercerPay polo approached, smile strained. "Hi, Malik, I'm Tessa. Elaine will see you now." Malik didn't move until Ms. Rios stepped closer. "I'm coming," Ms. Rios said. They were led down a hallway that smelled like new paint and money. The conference room had glass walls and a long table that reflected overhead lights like a mirror. Elaine Mercer stood near the window, looking out over the city like she owned it. When she turned, her smile was gone. "You ambushed a live event," Elaine said, voice low. No microphone warmth now, just the CEO. Malik met her gaze without shrinking. "You said walk-up questions," he replied calmly. "I asked." Elaine's jaw tightened. You put me in a position first," Malik said. Elaine's nostrils flared slightly. She looked at Tessa. "Pull up his wallet." Tessa opened her laptop, typed fast. The screen stayed angled away from Malik-like information was a privilege. Elaine's gaze flicked to Amina, who stood close to Malik, clutching her spaceship book. Elaine's expression softened for a fraction, then tightened again. "This is not customer support," Elaine said. "But you made it public, so here we are." Malik placed the library card on the table. The red overdue stamps faced up like accusations. Tessa cleared her throat. "It flagged due to identity inconsistency and a location risk score," she said. "Location risk score," Ms. Rios repeated, sharp. Elaine's eyes snapped toward Ms. Rios. "And you are?" "Marisol Rios," Ms. Rios said, "branch librarian, and a mandated reporter." That landed. Elaine's posture shifted a fraction. Legal language always did that to powerful people. Elaine turned back to Tessa. "Fix the name mismatch." Tessa hesitated. "The model requires manual approval when risk is above." "Approve it," Elaine cut in. Tessa clicked. Her fingers moved fast, nervous. "Okay." but funds are still restricted because the parent profile KYC isn't complete. Malik's stomach tightened. He kept his face still. Elaine looked at Malik. Where's your parent? She's home, Malik said. Her ID is expired. Elaine's mouth tightened. Then we can't. You can, Malik said calmly. You just don't want to. Elaine's eyes flashed. Fraud is real. So is hunger, Malik said. Elaine's jaw worked. We offer alternative verification pathways. They don't work, Malik said. He didn't shout. He didn't plead. He stated it like a fact. Ms. Rios leaned forward. Your automated chat looped him, she said, and your form promised 7 to 10 business days. Elaine's gaze snapped to Tessa. Tessa's cheeks flushed. That's standard. Elaine's voice went colder. Standard, for whom? For customers with credit cards and offices, or for a 10-year-old trying to buy groceries? Tessa looked down. It's the standard. Elaine stared at the laptop screen. Her fingers tapped the table once, twice, a rhythm of restraint. Then she said, release his funds. Tessa's eyes widened. We can't without completed KYC. Elaine leaned in, voice controlled and sharp. You can, she said. There is always a way. You built the system. Tessa typed again. I can do a temporary release, she said. One time, 48 hours, pending verification. Do it, Elaine said. A moment later, Tessa nodded. Released. Available within an hour. Malik exhaled slowly. Not relief exactly. More like a knot loosening, but the bigger knot stayed. That's me, Malik said. What about the others? Elaine's expression hardened. You don't know what you're talking about. Malik held up his phone again. People say their money disappears, he said. Fees. Tiny charges while locked. Elaine's voice tightened. Product policy. Ms. Rios didn't let it slide. What fees? Tessa hesitated, then spoke like reciting something she wished she didn't know. There's a monthly maintenance fee on certain microaccounts, she said, to 99. There's also a $1 verification attempt fee if identity review is triggered more than once, and an inactivity fee after 60 days if no transactions clear. Malik's eyes narrowed. While the account is frozen, he said. Tessa swallowed. The fees are automated. The hold doesn't pause billing. Malik felt something cold pass through him. So if you freeze someone's wallet for fraud prevention, you still charge them, he said, for being frozen. Tessa's face went pale. It's taking, Malik said calmly. Elaine stared at Tessa like she'd been handed a knife with her fingerprints on it. Why would we keep charging during holds? She demanded. Tessa's voice shook. It was designed to offset review costs. Ms. Rios's voice stayed steady, but anger sharpened it. Review costs that your system triggers by zip code. Elaine's assistant stepped forward. Urgent. Elaine, press outside. They saw the exchange. Elaine's face went still. For a moment, she looked at Malik the way she'd looked at spreadsheets, trying to find a way to make the problem smaller. Malik didn't let her. I don't want to be your story, Malik said, and his calm was a boundary. You will not use my face as proof you care. Elaine blinked. That's not. Malik took a step back from the table. My money will be available, he said. Good, but I'm leaving now. Ms. Rios's eyebrows lifted slightly. Malik didn't ask permission. He chose. Elaine's jaw tightened. If you walk out, you lose your chance to be heard. Malik's gaze held hers. I was heard, he said. In the room, on camera. That's why you're scared. Elaine's eyes flashed, but she didn't deny it. Malik turned to Ms. Rios. Can we go? He asked. Ms. Rios nodded and stood. Amina clutched her book tighter and followed Malik out. Small footsteps, quick. In the lobby, MercerPay staff tried to guide them toward a side exit. Malik stopped. "No," he said calmly. "We leave through the front." Ms. Rios didn't argue. She walked with him. Outside, microphones and cameras surged. Malik felt the heat of attention like a hand on his neck. A reporter called, "Malik, how does it feel to take on a billionaire?" Another shouted, "Elaine Mercer, did your company steal from poor families?" Malik kept walking, Amina's hand still in his pocket. His eyes stayed forward. Ms. Rios leaned down and murmured, "You don't have to answer." "I won't," Malik murmured back. A camera swung toward Malik's face. "Say something," a voice urged. Malik stopped for half a second, turned his head just enough to be clear, and said one sentence without drama. "Please don't film my little sister," he said. Then he turned away and kept walking. That boundary traveled faster than any headline. An hour later, back in their apartment, Nia checked the app every 5 minutes, refreshing until her thumb went sore. Malik sat at the table with Amina, helping her sound out words from her spaceship book. He acted like nothing was happening, because Amina needed normal more than she needed fear. When the notification finally came, "Funds available," Nia's shoulders sagged with relief so deep it looked like pain. She covered her mouth. "Thank God," she whispered. Malik didn't say thank God. He didn't say thank Elaine. He said, "We should go now." They walked to the grocery store together. Malik pushed the cart. Amina perched in the child seat like a small queen. Nia moved through aisles like she was relearning what choice felt like. They bought rice, eggs, frozen vegetables, detergent. At checkout, Malik watched the total climb on the screen and felt his heart speed up. When the MercerPay card went through, he exhaled slowly. He didn't smile, he didn't celebrate. He simply felt the immediate crisis loosen. Outside, wind cut through their jackets. Nia hugged the grocery bags close. "You did that," Nia said quietly. "You fixed it." Malik shook his head. "It worked for us today," he said. "That's different." Nia stared at him, tired eyes searching, then nodded slowly. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Across town, Elaine Mercer walked into her office and found the building humming with panic. Her assistant met her at the elevator. "It's trending," he said. "Child versus CEO. People are sharing the clip. They're calling it discrimination." Elaine kept her face controlled. "Get me the risk team," she said. Her assistant hesitated. "The board is calling." Elaine's jaw tightened. "Then tell them I'm busy." She stepped into her office and shut the door. The city glittered outside like it didn't know hunger existed. Elaine's phone buzzed. Payment due. Nitrogen monoxide delays. Her throat tightened. She set the phone down and stared at it like it was a snake. Then she opened her laptop and pulled up internal dashboards. The risk team arrived in minutes. Charts appeared, heat maps, restrictions by geography, fee revenue by account tier. Elaine's head of risk, Sanjay, spoke in careful language. "The model uses location as a variable," he said. "It correlates with fraud risk." Elaine's eyes were cold. "Correlation is not justification." Sanjay swallowed. "It's industry standard." Elaine leaned forward. "Show me restricted status rates by zip code," she said. 6 months. Then a year. Sanjay clicked. The screen filled with numbers. Restricted status rates were higher in certain neighborhoods, not a little higher, enough to make the pattern obvious even to someone who wanted to deny it. Elaine's jaw tightened. "Fee revenue from accounts under $500, she said. "Now," Sanjay hesitated. "That's product policy." "Now," Elaine said. The numbers loaded. Elaine's eyes tracked them, and something in her face changed. Her control didn't vanish, but it cracked. Why are we collecting maintenance fees during holds? Elaine demanded. A product executive, Bree, cleared her throat. The billing system is automated, she said. Holds don't pause fees. Elaine's voice went dangerously quiet. So, if we freeze a wallet, we still take $2.99. It offsets review costs, Bree said weakly. Elaine stared at her. Review costs, triggered by our model, she said, which is flagging microaccounts by geography. Sanjay's voice tightened. We're preventing fraud, Elaine cut him off. We're extracting, she said, and the word felt like she'd bitten down on metal. Her assistant knocked and entered without waiting. Press is outside, he said. They want a statement. Elaine's jaw clenched. Her instinct screamed to control the narrative, to wrap the truth in smooth phrasing. Then she saw Malik again, calm, small, holding a library card like dignity. Elaine said, "Not yet." Her assistant hesitated. "Elaine, not yet," she repeated. After the risk team left, Elaine sat alone and opened internal archives. She searched for fee memos. She found them. Micro-account friction, monetization. The phrase repeated like a chorus. Then she saw a finance note attached to a revenue adjustment approval chain. Coverage for personal facility obligations. Elaine's breath stopped. The secret debt wasn't just a shadow. It had become a lever inside her company. She closed the laptop hard enough to make the screen flicker. Her phone buzzed again. "I don't do confirmed. I do received." Elaine's hands clenched. In her office, behind a framed magazine cover, an old library card sat half-hidden on a shelf. Bent corners, faded ink, a red stamp she'd never shown anyone. Elaine stared at the shelf and didn't look away this time. She saw herself, years ago, holding a card like a passport, terrified of losing it because it was the only proof she belonged anywhere. Then she saw Malik holding his card with red stamps like a shield. Elaine's pride didn't like what that mirror showed her. Her vulnerability did. 2 weeks later, the story had teeth. Advocacy groups compiled complaints. A legal nonprofit began gathering affected customers. Reporters filed requests and found patterns. Malik kept going to school. He kept taking Amina to the library. He kept acting like a kid who hadn't asked to become a symbol. But the world kept calling. One afternoon, Malik came home to find Naya at the table with an envelope in her hands, unopened. Her face was pale. "What is it?" Malik asked. "Certified mail," Naya whispered. "From MercerPay." Malik sat across from her, calm as a held breath. "Open it," he said. Nia tore it carefully. Inside was a settlement offer. A number large enough to make Nia's eyes widen. Conditions in small print. Confidentiality, no admission of wrongdoing, no participation in future claims. Nia's voice shook. "Malik, this could pay rent for months." Malik read over her shoulder, eyes narrowing. "They're buying silence," he said quietly. Nia's hands trembled. "We need help," she said, and the words sounded like a crack in her pride. Malik didn't shame her. He didn't pretend needing help was wrong. He held the line anyway. "We can take help," he said carefully, "but not if it makes us disappear." Nia's eyes filled. "I don't want to be on the news," she whispered. "You won't," Malik said. "We talked to Ms. Rios and someone who knows law." That night, Ms. Rios met them in the library staff room after closing. A burnt coffee smell hung in the air. Old posters peeled at the edges. It was the kind of room where people did real work without applause. Ms. Rios listened while Nia described the letter. Her jaw tightened. "They're trying to control the narrative," Ms. Rios said. Nia's voice wavered. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm tired." I don't want Malik carrying this. Malik's face stayed calm, but his eyes were tired too. Ms. Rios nodded slowly. Then adults carry it now, she said, legally. She pulled out her phone. I contacted a legal aid group, she said, consumer protection. They want to talk. A few days later, Malik sat in a small office above a laundromat across from a lawyer named Dana Klein. Dana didn't talk to Malik like he was cute. She talked to him like he was a witness. Tell me exactly what happened, Dana said. Malik explained the youth wallet under his mom's profile, the KYC lock, the middle name mismatch, the automated loop, the 7 to 10 day response, the live Q&A, the conference room, the fees during holds. Dana took notes. Do you have screenshots? She asked. Malik handed over his phone so she could photograph the evidence. Dana's eyes narrowed as she read. Maintenance fees during holds, she murmured. Verification, attempt fee, inactivity fee. Naya sat beside Malik, hands clasped tight. Can they freeze it again? She asked. Dana's voice was steady. They can try, she said, but attention changes the calculus. Malik didn't like being calculus. Dana seemed to sense it. Malik, Dana said gently, do you want money, or do you want change? Malik didn't answer quickly. He thought of rent. He thought of groceries. He thought of all the people who couldn't stand up at a microphone. I want them to stop taking little bites, Malik said quietly. Dana nodded once. Then we set conditions, she said. No hush settlement, public restitution, policy changes, independent audits, compensation, and accountability at the top. Malik's throat tightened around the name, Elaine Mercer. Dana's gaze sharpened. Yes. 3 weeks later, the board called Elaine Mercer into a meeting that felt less like discussion and more like a verdict forming. The board chair, Victor Hale, spoke first. This is not contained, he said. Regulators are asking questions. A class action is forming. Consumer groups want hearings. Elaine's posture stayed rigid. We can weather it, she said. Victor's expression was flat. We can weather bad press, he said. We cannot weather criminal exposure. A board member, Leela, leaned forward. Is the harm real? She asked. Elaine's jaw tightened. Yes, Leela didn't blink. Is it systemic? Elaine's throat tightened. Yes. Victor slid another sheet across the table. Did your personal financial obligations influence policy decisions? Elaine's stomach clenched. The secret debt tightened like a chain. Elaine's pride wanted to say no. Her fear wanted to hide. Elaine forced, her voice steady. I took on a private debt facility early, she said. I believed I could manage it. Victor's eyes narrowed. That's not the question. Elaine held his gaze. Pressure existed, she said carefully, and I did not disclose it fully. Leela's voice stayed calm. Then you are vulnerable, she said, and the company is exposed. Victor exhaled. We need a plan, he said, publicly, immediately. Elaine's instinct screamed to spin it. To create a glossy statement, to offer a scholarship, a donation, a smiling photo with the child. Then she remembered Malik's sentence outside the library doors, the way he'd said it, without anger, just truth. You will not use my face as proof you care. Elaine's mouth tightened. I will testify, she said. Victor blinked. Elaine, I will testify, she repeated, and we will refund. Leela watched her, expression hard, but not cruel. And you will step aside, she said, not asking. Elaine's throat tightened. The cost landed like a weight. Elaine nodded once. If that's what it takes, she said. Time didn't compress into a miracle. It stretched the way real consequences did. Weeks passed. Investigators asked for documents. The class action filed. MercerPay's internal audits began. Customers lined up at community centers with printouts and screenshots and stories that sounded like Malik's, only older, heavier, sometimes with eviction notices attached. Malik stayed out of the spotlight on purpose. When a producer called Dana asking for a feature on the brave little boy, Malik heard the message and made a decision. "No," Malik said calmly, "I'm not doing that." Dana studied him. "You don't owe anyone," she said. "I know," Malik said. "If they want a story, they can talk about the system, not my face." That boundary held. 2 months later, the State Consumer Protection Committee scheduled a public hearing. The date hit the news. The room filled with cameras and suits and tired people clutching folders. It wasn't a movie courtroom. It was a government chamber with fluorescent lighting and rules that didn't care about anyone's feelings. Malik came with Dana and Ms. Rios. Nia stayed home with Amina because some rooms weren't meant for 6-year-olds. Nia watched a live stream later on a cracked phone screen, hand over her mouth, as if she could keep the world from swallowing her son. Elaine Mercer arrived with lawyers. Her suit was immaculate. Her face was pale beneath the makeup. Her assistant whispered. Her security hovered. Elaine's phone buzzed in her pocket with a message that made her stomach clench even before she looked. "You think sunlight saves you?" Elaine didn't respond. She'd paid the private lender down in the last weeks by selling shares and pulling the obligation into disclosure. It hurt, it threatened her control, but it cut the leash. Elaine walked into the hearing room and sat at the witness table. When she raised her right hand to swear the oath, her fingers didn't shake, but her throat tightened anyway. Under oath, slogans didn't help. The committee chair began, voice steady, eyes sharp. "Ms. Mercer, your company markets a youth wallet under a parent profile through community partners," she said. "Is that correct?" Elaine swallowed. "Yes, and that product can be frozen if the parent profile KYC is incomplete or if identity mismatches trigger fraud flags," the chair continued. Elaine's jaw tightened. "Yes." The chair leaned forward. "A 10-year-old boy stood up in a library and told you he could not access funds for groceries," she said. "Do you recall?" Elaine's eyes flicked, just once, toward the public seats where Malik sat. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He sat straight, calm. Elaine faced forward again. "Yes," she said. The chair's voice sharpened. "Before we discuss policy," she said, "do you acknowledge harm?" Elaine's pride wanted to answer with careful phrasing, something like regret, something like "we take concerns seriously." Elaine didn't do that. She took a breath and said one plain sentence, the kind that didn't hide. "I'm sorry," Elaine said. MercerPay froze accounts and took fees from people who needed that money to live. The room went quiet in a different way than before. Less spectacle, more weight. Elaine continued, voice steady. "I'm sorry to Malik Johnson," she said, "and I'm sorry to every customer whose access to their own money was restricted and charged." The chair let the apology sit there without rewarding it. "Now answer the questions," she said. They came like a storm. Did MercerPay's fraud system disproportionately restrict accounts in low-income zip codes? Elaine's throat tightened. Yes. Did MercerPay assess fees while accounts were restricted? Elaine swallowed. Yes. What fees? The chair asked. Elaine didn't glance at her lawyer this time. Monthly maintenance fees, she said. In some cases, $2.99. Verification attempt fees, $1 per repeated trigger. Inactivity fees after 60 days if transactions didn't clear, and those fees were charged even when a hold prevented transactions. The chair said. Yes, Elaine said. The chair's eyes hardened. So a hold caused the very inactivity that triggered an inactivity fee. Elaine's jaw tightened. Yes. A murmur rippled through the room. Anger, recognition, tiredness. Did MercerPay profit from these fees? The chair asked. Elaine's voice stayed flat. Yes. Were internal teams aware of the geographic pattern? Elaine's throat tightened. Yes. Were memos written about monetizing microaccounts? The chair asked. Elaine's stomach lurched. She saw the phrase in her mind like a stain. Yes, Elaine said. And did you approve revenue adjustments that increased pressure on microaccounts? The chair asked. Elaine's fingers clenched under the table. Yes. The chair leaned in. Why? Elaine's pride screamed. Her fear screamed louder. She could dodge. She could claim she didn't know. She could try to protect the last scraps of her image. Then she remembered Malik's boundary, the way he'd refused to be her redemption story. Elaine's voice went quieter. Because I had personal financial obligations, she said, and I allowed pressure to distort decisions. A sharp inhale moved through the room. Elaine continued before the chair could cut her off, because this truth needed to be said cleanly, not discovered later in a leak. When I was building MercerPay, Elaine said, I took on a private debt facility. I hid it. I believed I could outwork it. I did not disclose the continuing pressure it placed on me, and I approved policies that created harmful revenue from microaccounts. The chair's eyes narrowed. That sounds like you used poor customers as a buffer. Elaine's jaw tightened. It sounds like me taking responsibility, she said, which is why I'm here. The chair didn't soften. Words don't refund rent, she said. What will you do? Elaine took a breath. We will refund all fees assessed during restriction events for microaccounts over the past 24 months, she said. Maintenance fees, verification attempt fees, and inactivity fees triggered during holds. Refunds will be automatic wherever possible. The chair's pen paused. Automatic, she repeated. Yes, Elaine said. Not a maze, Elaine continued, voice steady, because action was the only thing holding her upright. We will add restitution payments through an independent administrator for documented hardship caused by restricted access, late fees, overdraft charges, missed utility reconnection fees, eviction-related costs, through a process designed with consumer advocates. The chair stared at her. And the model? She asked. Elaine didn't flinch. We will commission an independent audit of our fraud prevention algorithm, she said. We will publish findings. We will rebuild the model with fairness constraints. We will eliminate location risk scoring that functions as a proxy for protected characteristics. We will pause automated restriction for youth wallets and require a human review for any restriction longer than 24 hours, and KYC. The chair pressed. Elaine nodded once. Alternative verification pathways, she said. School records, community partner verification, a library or nonprofit sponsorship confirmation. No child should lose access to essentials because a parent's ID is expired. The chair leaned back slightly, eyes hard. And what happens to you? She asked. Elaine's throat tightened. The cost landed again, heavy and real. I will step down temporarily as CEO, Elaine said. The board will appoint an interim leader while these changes are implemented. I will cooperate fully with regulators and civil actions. I will testify wherever required. The room shifted. Cameras zoomed. People whispered. Temporarily, the chair repeated. Elaine's pride wanted to say she'd return. Her fear wanted to say anything that sounded safe. Elaine chose something harder. I will not stand in the way, she said. Outside the hearing room, reporters swarmed. Elaine's security formed a barrier, but questions pierced anyway. Are you admitting guilt? Did you steal from poor people? Elaine kept walking, face controlled, but the mask was different now. Less shine, more consequence. Down the hallway, Malik stood with Dana and Ms. Rios. Dana's expression was satisfied in a wary way. Victory tasted like paperwork and time. Ms. Rios's eyes were wet, though she blinked it away. Malik's face stayed calm, but his fingers clenched around something in his pocket. The library card. Elaine passed close enough that their eyes met again. Elaine didn't stop. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't offer words meant for cameras. She nodded once. Malik nodded back, not in gratitude, not in friendship, but in acknowledgement. The work had moved from talk to action. Months passed. Real change didn't happen in one hearing. It happened in boring, stubborn increments. Refunds rolled out in waves. People posted screenshots, $12, $30, $78, amounts that looked small to a billionaire and looked like breath to a parent. Community centers hosted claims clinics for restitution. Dana's nonprofit worked with other organizations to keep the process from becoming another trap. The independent audit team interviewed engineers and pulled logs and wrote reports that named harm plainly. MercerPay's internal culture cracked under the pressure. Some executives resigned. Some fought the changes quietly. Engineers argued about fairness constraints, about false positives, about the temptation to hide behind technical language. The interim CEO, Lila, didn't let them. Explain it like you're talking to someone who's hungry, Lila told them in one meeting. And the room went quiet because hunger wasn't a metric they liked to name. Elaine worked from a smaller office down the hall. She still attended meetings when asked. She no longer sat at the head of the table. She didn't get applause. She got scrutiny. She also got messages from the private lender, less powerful now but still venomous. You ruined my deal. Elaine didn't respond. She'd cut the leash, but scars still ached. One afternoon, Elaine requested a meeting with Malik through Dana. Dana asked Malik in the nonprofit office, careful. You don't have to, she said. Malik sat in a chair with his feet barely touching the floor, hands folded. He thought of Amina at home doing homework on the table. He thought of his mom's shoulders, slowly unknotting, still poor, still careful, but no longer one frozen wallet away from disaster. He also thought of all the people still fighting for restitution, still proving they deserved their own money back. I'll go, Malik said. Dana studied him. Why? Malik's voice stayed calm. Because she might stop when people stop watching, he said. And because I want to say something. They met at the downtown library branch again. Not in a glass office, not in MercerPay headquarters. Ms. Rios arranged it in a small study room with a window that looked out onto shelves. The room had a whiteboard and 2 cheap chairs and a faint smell of pencil shavings. It was the kind of room where kids did homework and adults filled out forms. It was neutral ground. Elaine arrived without cameras, without a crowd. She wore a simple coat instead of a suit. She looked tired in a way Malik hadn't seen before. Tired not from lack of sleep, but from carrying consequences that didn't leave when the news cycle changed. Elaine sat across from Malik at the small table. Ms. Rios sat near the door, arms crossed, watchful. Dana sat beside Malik, legal presence like a shield. Elaine spoke first, voice quiet. Refunds are still rolling, she said. The first wave went out. The next is scheduled for next week. Malik nodded once. Good. Elaine's mouth tightened. The audit team found what you said, she admitted. The proxy effect, the geographic bias, the fee extraction. Malik didn't react like a hero. He reacted like a kid who'd been hungry. "Okay," he said. Elaine swallowed. "I brought something," she said. She reached into her bag and slid a small box across the table. Malik didn't touch it. Elaine's hand paused. "It's not money," she said quickly. She opened it herself. A brand new tablet gleamed under the library's fluorescent light, sleek and expensive, the kind of thing kids on ads used for homework while smiling in perfect kitchens. Malik's expression didn't change. "For school," Elaine said. "For you and your sister." Ms. Rios's jaw tightened. Dana's eyes narrowed. Malik looked at Elaine, calm and firm. "No," he said. Elaine blinked. "Malik, no gifts." Malik said, "You said restitution." Elaine's throat tightened. Pride flared under fatigue. "This is help," she insisted. "You need it." Malik's voice stayed steady. "You don't know what I need," he said. Elaine's eyes flashed. "I know what it's like," Malik cut in, not raising his voice, just ending the sentence. "That's not my job," he said, "and I'm not your proof." Elaine went still. Malik continued, calm but clear. "If you want to help," he said, "help the library." Elaine stared at him. Malik gestured toward the shelves visible through the window. "This is where people go when they don't have stuff," he said. "This is where people print forms and apply for jobs and do homework when they don't have Wi-Fi. This is where people learn words to fight with." Elaine swallowed, eyes flicking briefly toward the shelves. "You want to give something?" Malik asked. "Make sure this place stays open later. Make sure there are more librarians, more computers. Make sure kids don't get locked out because of stamps." Elaine's jaw tightened. "MercerPay already donates," she said, defensive. Malik's voice stayed calm. "Not as MercerPay," he said. "Not as your logo. As a promise that can't be taken back when the news moves on." Dana leaned forward slightly. "Professional. A public commitment to public infrastructure," she said, "with contractual guardrails." Elaine looked at Dana, then back at Malik. Her throat tightened, as if she'd swallowed the words wrong. Elaine slowly closed the tablet box and pulled it back toward herself. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay." Ms. Rios's posture eased a fraction, approval hidden under caution. Elaine looked at Malik again, softer. "Why the library?" she asked. Malik's fingers touched his pocket where the library card lived like a heartbeat. "Because it doesn't ask me to prove I'm worth it," he said. "It just lets me in." Elaine's gaze dropped to the table, then lifted again. "I had a card," she said, almost unwillingly. Ms. Rios's eyes sharpened. "When you were a kid?" Elaine nodded once. "Yes." Malik held her gaze. "Did it have stamps?" he asked. Elaine hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." Malik's voice stayed even. "Then you know," he said. Elaine blinked hard once. She didn't ask for comfort. She didn't ask Malik to fix her feelings. She sat with the truth like it was part of her sentence. A week later, the library announced extended hours 2 nights a week. New computers arrived. A fund for kids' fines expanded so no one got locked out for stamps. The money didn't come with banners. It didn't come with Elaine's face on a poster. It came through a city fund with a contract that protected it for 5 years. Malik didn't see that as a miracle. He saw it as a lever, finally moving in the right direction. Life didn't become easy. Nia still worked unpredictable gigs. Rent still hovered like a threat. Malik still watched grocery totals with tight focus, but the world felt slightly less eager to erase them. One afternoon, months later, Malik walked into the library with Amina, the air warm, sunlight slanting through windows. Ms. Rios waved from the desk. "Hey," she called softly. Malik walked up with his library card in hand. Ms. Rios scanned it and smiled. "You're good," she said. "No balance." Amina held up a book about dinosaurs, eyes bright. "Can I get this?" Malik nodded. "Yes." Ms. Rios checked it out and slid it across. Then she lowered her voice. "We got the grant," she said. Malik's eyes sharpened. "For what?" Ms. Rios's smile widened. "Extended hours," she said. "More staff, more computers, and a kids' access fund. No stamps, keep a kid out anymore." Malik nodded slowly. He didn't grin like a commercial. He accepted it like something fragile that needed respect. Amina tugged his sleeve. "Can we stay?" she asked. "Please." Malik looked around. Kids reading. Adults at computers filling out job applications. An older woman helping a teenager with a resume. The quiet hum of a place that didn't demand proof of worth. "Yes," Malik said. "We can stay." They found a table in the children's section. Amina opened her dinosaur book and began reading aloud, stumbling on long words, laughing at herself when she got them wrong. Malik pulled out his own book, a thick one borrowed from the grown-up shelves, about laws and consumer rights and how people changed systems that didn't want to change. Near the entrance, a new sign had been hung, simple and small. "Welcome. You belong here." Malik sat under that sentence like it was a roof. His phone buzzed with a MercerPay update, another corporate email about audits and timelines and commitments. He didn't open it. He slid his library card onto the table. Red stamps faded under years of wear, and watched Amina point at a dinosaur with teeth like knives. "Look," Amina whispered, delighted. "This one is scary." Malik leaned in, calm, protective, present. "That one is loud," he said, quietly. "But it's not the only one." Amina frowned. "What do you mean?" Malik tapped the page gently. "Some things don't roar," he said. "They just keep taking little bites." Amina stared at the picture, trying to understand. Malik turned the page for her, patient. In the quiet of the library, with books around him, and his sister safe beside him, Malik didn't feel like a symbol or a headline. He felt like himself, dignified, intelligent, still poor, still careful, but no longer invisible to the systems that tried to erase him. And somewhere in the city, a powerful woman who had once believed people were data, sat in a smaller office and read an independent audit report that named harm plainly. She signed off on refunds that cost the company millions. She sat through meetings where engineers rebuilt models with constraints that made extraction harder. She let regulators question her again and again. She swallowed humiliation and learned to live without the illusion that control was the same thing as safety. Elaine Mercer didn't get a clean redemption. She got consequences, scrutiny, and the slow work of repair. Malik didn't get rescued. He got something harder and more real. His dignity intact, his boundaries respected, and a door that stayed open, not because a billionaire held it, but because a community demanded it. When Amina finally closed her book and yawned, Malik stood and gathered their things. "Ready?" Malik asked. Amina nodded, sleepy. "Can we come back tomorrow?" Malik looked toward Ms. Rios at the desk, toward the shelves, toward the quiet that felt like safety. "Yes," Malik said. "We'll come back." He tucked the library card into his pocket like it was the most valuable thing he owned, and walked out with his sister's hand in his, leaving the library behind him for now, but not leaving it as a place he could lose. The automatic doors opened, sunlight spilled across their faces, and Malik stepped forward without a spotlight, without a slogan, just a child who had refused to be erased and had made a system blink.